Needing absolutely no introduction to the world of game fishing, Shimano's Talica reels are super popular for a good reason. You've got a small reel that's high speed that punches out loads of drag and holds a bulk amount of line. So they've really found favour around the world with guys chasing swordfish, big tuna, and obviously billfish. So the Talica 50 really made its mark in the big fish scene because they were pretty well the first to have this compact reel that could do the job with the big drag pressures. They've now come out with the Talica 25 Series 50 and also the new 40. I'm going to go into the 40 in just a second because this is quickly becoming one of my favourite blue water reels. But for now, if I get the old 50, when I say the old, it's still current, and then we've got the new 25 50. They look still very similar, silver in colour, same shape, hold heaps of line, do all that sort of stuff. But the main features are that this new 25 Series 50 is actually smaller in diameter on the side plates than the current one. This one is 6mm smaller on the ratchet side of the reel and 8mm smaller on the handle side of the reel. What that does, drops the reel that little bit lower down to the rod, and it doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. So it drops it down lower. So when you're winding, especially if you're not harnessed up, it knocks out a bit more of that rock without causing, I suppose, angler fatigue. It keeps the reel more stable while you're fighting a fish. The other great feature now is they've gone to this dual force drag system on the new Talica 25 series in the 50 and also the 40. What that does is it gives you freer winding under heavy drag. And this is what Talicas are really known for, is big drag pressure. So when you're winding on 14 or 16 kilos of drag, it's really easy to turn the handle so you don't get like arm fatigue trying to get that inertia of the handle turning. And that's really important. What I've found with this, doesn't matter if it's on 8 kilos of drag or 14 kilos of drag, it's just as easy to turn the handle. And that's huge when you're in a long fight with a big fish, because as I said, it's that initial getting the handle to turn that sort of wears you out. And while that was really easy to still turn the handle, there's a big difference between the new series. So it's a really nice piece of gear. I'll step this one aside for now and we'll bring the 40 back in. And as I said, this is quickly becoming a real favorite of mine. So the 40 is the same side plate diameter as the 50, but where the 40 is different is it's 10mm narrower in the spool and the body. So what it's done is it's just made that reel that little bit more compact, but to use it, it just feels completely different because it's just this tiny bit smaller. It really is just a sweet piece of gear to use. But what's really great about this is you're not losing a huge amount of line capacity. I've got 700 meters of 80-pound braid on this with a 100-meter 80-pound top shot. This one here, I think I've got about 850 of 80-pound braid and then the top shot. I could squeeze more onto here if I want, but it's working beautifully at the moment for swordfish fishing and tuna fishing and stuff like that. So really nice piece of gear. This one here, you can actually fish it without the harness for quite a long time because it is just that bit more compact. It's got the same dual force drag system, so again, turning the handle is nice and easy. But what's really nice with these new reels is they've redeveloped the ratchet system on them. Now on the previous series Talicas, if you've used them, you'll know that the ratchet was really light, and that's great. But also if you're feeding live baits back to a fish or whatever, or the rod's in the hold, or you got live baits in an outrigger and it pops out of the rigger and whatnot, this reel was prone to potentially overrunning unless you had that drag set just at the absolute critical right amount. So what they've done is redevelop the ratchet system, which is also preventing saltwater intrusion into that side of the reel. It's now 10% louder, and 10% louder ratchet doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually is. So if I get this here and we spin that, right, that's the sound of it. But also you see how freely that spins. This one now, 10% louder. It's a heavier ratchet because it's louder. It makes a different sound, and you see it doesn't spin quite as freely. It is still definitely lighter than a Tiagra ratchet, so you still get a really nice free spool on finicky fish when they grab a bait. So loving this whole system, loving the new Talica 25 Series 40 and 50. I'd love to know your thoughts. I think they're worth the money and I'm really enjoying using these. I hope you guys get out there and get to use them as well. Leave a comment on what you think about the new series of Talicas.